Did Donald Trump break federal law by discouraging Bibi Netanyahu from agreeing to a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas? PBS's Judy Woodruff said Monday that, quote, the reporting is that former President Trump is on the phone with the Prime Minister of Israel, urging him not to cut a deal right now because it's believed that would help the Harris campaign. Who knows whether that will come out or not, or come about or not, but I have to think the Harris campaign would like for President Biden to do what presidents do, and that's to work on that one. The New Republic and other progressive media outlets have raised the possibility that by having such a conversation, Trump has violated the Logan Act, which prohibits private citizens from engaging in diplomacy or negotiations with foreign governments on the United States' behalf.
Both Trump and Netanyahu have denied that such a call took place, although they both confirmed that they've spoken otherwise. They're saying that they did not, Trump did not specifically say not to do a ceasefire deal. He said in the past that he told Netanyahu to get it done swiftly, whatever that means. So they're talking about the Logan Act in connection here. I'm very skeptical of that Trump would be found to have done anything illegally here, or that the Logan Act is actually enforceable. It's a fascinating law. So this is a law that goes all the way back to 1799. It has only been there are only two cases of people being prosecuted for it ever, both from the 19th century, and neither were convicted. I suspect today's Supreme Court might actually find this law unconstitutional entirely, in that it would violate the free speech, the First Amendment rights of private citizens to speak to the heads of foreign governments. That would be my guess.
That's interesting, because you felt very differently when it was Hunter Biden doing it. Robby, with the Foreign Agents Act, the Logan Act is not so different. It's private citizens having unauthorized negotiations with foreign governments. That's the only difference. The Foreign Agents Act is just that you're talking to people in other countries as a private citizen, acting as a foreign agent.
The foreign registration has been, they have successfully prosecuted people in the past for violating that law. That's not saying that you can't engage in those conversations, just that you have to register it. I don't know. I'm sure you can make an argument, maybe someone has, that that's also a First Amendment violation. This one seems a little bit more robust to me. I mean, they've never actually used this law to prosecute anyone successfully. It's way older than the registration law. And the corruption about Hunter, again, it's not even necessarily that anything illegal was done. It's that the people have the right to know that he was trying and he was engaged in a effort and a scheme to leverage the Biden family name to benefit himself and these corrupt business interests. It's more of a making voters aware. And if public resources, the fact that his father was the vice president, and whether policy was impacted because of this connection. It's not, obviously Hunter Biden has the right to, or should have the right to, make money just because he's Hunter Biden or whatever. I don't care about that. Similarly, this is a very different, I said similarly, but this is not actually all that similar. Donald Trump was the president. He might very well be the president again. We're going to prohibit him. He's not allowed to speak to the leaders of heads of state and explain what he thinks his policy ought to be or what their policy ought to be.
According to the Logan Act, no.
Well, yeah, that's why I say the Logan Act is just obviously unconstitutional then.
Okay, yeah, I think Donald Trump just made a perfect phone call.
We can criminalize Barack Obama's ability to speak to the heads of foreign state. We're just you are barred now, Barack Obama, from speaking.
It's about negotiating over a conflict.
That's speaking, Jessica.
No, you can say, hey, what's up? How are you? Haven't talked to you in a long time. How are the kids? Or you can say, don't cut a ceasefire deal with the U.S. government. Very different conversations. And
if he wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post, Donald Trump did say, let's say he wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post saying Israel should not make a ceasefire deal with Hamas. We think we can criminalize that? We obviously can't.
I mean, he could say,
What if he faxed a copy of it to Netanyahu? Then it becomes illegal? No way. This is just obviously First Amendment violation to me.
It's interesting that no conservatives made that argument about Hunter Biden, but let's get into this. This is not the first time Donald Trump would have done something like this. Donald Trump tends to not want any policy, even if it's something popular among the American people, as a ceasefire deal is. He doesn't want them to pass. Let's not forget.
Then don't vote for him on this basis.
Let's not forget that Mitch McConnell negotiated a bipartisan immigration deal that Mitch McConnell himself credits to Donald Trump crushing in the House and Senate.
And the way you
because I'm speaking, because as Troy Nehls, a Republican, said, we don't want to do anything that would look good for the Biden administration. That's why they did not pass this deal that was created in part by Mitch McConnell. Donald Trump crushed it. The American people want something done on immigration. This is one of the most popular issues among the American people. Donald Trump simply doesn't want it done because he cares more about the presidency than any of the issues he's running on or the American people. So I think this is a pattern of behavior for Donald Trump and anyone who's considered voting for someone who would put their personal ambitions over what's best for the American people and ask the current government not to get things done because it wouldn't look good for him is not someone who has the best interest of the country at heart.
That is perfectly fine. And the correct remedy for his conduct, if you find it objectionable, yes, is to not vote for him, campaign against him, hold him accountable at the ballot box. But in the progressive, liberal, democratic fantasy land, it's always, we must put him in jail. We must convict him. We must try him. We don't like what he's doing, and thus it must be a criminal violation. They're unwilling to or afraid to confront him in the remedy they have at their disposal. That's working just fine because, it's a close election. It could go either way. If you think Donald Trump will be bad for whatever policies you care about, then you don't vote for him. But it's crazy to me to say that he doesn't have the right to hold conversations with the heads of state. Although this is the position that I know Democrats have taken broadly, that he must be constrained or confined or can't engage in the rights or the participation in the democratic process that they say is at stake fundamentally.
And this is the difference between, I think, a lot of people who are independent thinkers on the left and people who are conservative thinkers. Because Hunter Biden has done something very similar that conservatives are enraged about and the right is enraged about. And they think he's the worst. How could he use his leverage as someone who's the son of the vice president of the United States? Donald Trump is using his leverage as a prominent candidate to, yes, break the law. We have laws for a reason, and I believe no one's above them, even if many people
Hunter Biden, by the way,
Donald
is not being prosecuted for any of this alleged influence. You're saying it's similar. There's no one. Hunter Biden faced charges for the gun charge. He's not. The state is not pursuing him for any of these things. So it's not. There's no double standard here. He has been let off for the corruption, the credible accusations of corruption, because there is not an underlying crime to it or not one that's been substantiated.
Right, and they have said that we believe it's possible he violated the Foreign Agents Act, and yes, he was investigated by Congress for what he's done, and yes, they have made recommendations for criminal prosecution of Hunter Biden. Well, so it's ridiculous to say that, it's ridiculous that Donald Trump is even being attacked for this, when Hunter Biden's being attacked for this by conservatives and the GOP.
The registration thing that law is aimed for if you're representing a foreign government and lobbying the U.S., whereas it's not analogous to what Donald Trump is being accused.
Burisma's not
a foreign interest. Donald Trump was representing his own interests in having whatever negotiation took place between him and Netanyahu. And again, they both deny that specific request was made.
Yeah, and if he did say, don't sign a ceasefire deal, that is going to be a violation of the Logan Act, because that is a conflict between the United States and a foreign government that he is seemingly negotiating on and leveraging his power to negotiate on.
Whenever you get into the territory of X person is not allowed to say this, you have to clear a very, very, very high bar, because we have broad protections for people to say things even if we don't like what they're saying in this country. And I don't think this law is robust enough at all to support trying Trump in that way.
I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the justices Donald Trump handpicked to staff the Supreme Court sided with him if the Logan Act made it there. But it does seem like if he did this, if this conversation took place and he asked for what he's reported to have asked for, it violated the law. But I think what matters the most right now during an election season where Donald Trump is seeking the presidency is that on 2 occasions, on 2 of the top issues in the country right now, the war on Gaza and immigration at the southern border, that he prevented solutions from coming forth into fruition because they would personally not be good for him. This is someone who puts himself before the American people and has no interest in actually serving the people. And I think that's what matters here, and that's why this is becoming such a big story, regardless of if it's legal or not. Is it right or wrong? And I think many of the American people would say, this is wrong. We want a ceasefire. We want the fighting to end.
So I just want to bring up another example of the Logan Act being referred to as another example for why this is, I think, a very problematic law. So John Kerry, after he was Secretary of State, who's no longer Secretary of State, met with the Iranians in 2018 to keep the nuclear deal in play, despite all the chaos with the Trump administration. He was not allowed by, it was the Trump administration at the time. He had no formal power or role to negotiate with the Iranians, but he was just someone who had formerly been in our government and was trying to maintain friendly relations with them, despite Trump getting out of the nuclear deal. Now, Republicans at the time said exactly what you're saying. They said, oh, that violates the Logan Act. I similarly thought that was silly.
And so did Trump come out and say Kerry was never authorized to do that?
Well, he clearly was not authorized to do that. He was not acting on the behalf of the Trump administration.
You would be surprised.
He was not part of the Trump administration.
We've had a lot of former people who have served overseas as ambassadors be authorized to negotiate, who are not currently serving in an official office or administration. So if Trump didn't pursue that...
Authorized? Was he...
Yes, that means you get permission from the State Department or the president to go and negotiate. And that's happened for a lot of people who are not serving in the government today and who are private citizens. But you have to have that authorization.
So people who are not confirmed by the Senate to be in a diplomatic role on behalf of the... Do you see how this starts to get a little slippery here? Who can and cannot meet with foreign leaders?
But if you have permission of the people serving in government to go off and negotiate,
well, John Kerry did not have permission.
You can't. That's the law.
Okay, but John Kerry did not have permission.
Do you know that?
And it was not a violation of the Logan Act? Yes, he did not have permission to do that. I mean,
Donald Trump
you're
never
saying there was some
authorized it?
You're saying there might have been some secret, covert operation we're not aware of. That could be true of Donald Trump. Maybe Donald Trump was authorized to negotiate with Netanyahu on our behalf.
I don't know the legality of it. We don't know if Donald Trump authorized it.
I'm saying we do know the legality of it, which is that you have the First Amendment right to do this kind of thing. We don't know if someone
in the State Department said, yes, John Kerry, you can go and make sure the nuclear deal stays in place with Iran. That could have happened. It's happened in this administration where private citizens have negotiated on behalf of the government and have been empowered to do so.
The Republicans were empowered.
The point here is that Donald Trump
is
using a relationship with the right-wing leader of Israel. And he's using his relationship with the right-wing leader of Israel to do what?
To go against what I'm not arguing that it's good or not bad. I'm just saying
but you don't know that that was illegal or not. We don't know if Kerry was empowered by the State Department to go and do that, or if he had permission to
What I would say that in both cases, and basically every case this law has been invoked, is that it would be unconstitutional to use this law to stop them from doing what they were doing. But that's my view. Let us know what you think, and that does it for us today on Rising. It was great, of course, giving you all the news. Jess and I will be looking forward to, I will be looking forward to your reaction, so you're going to be on tonight.
I will be on tonight reacting to Tim Walz's speech.
I will be maybe going to bed a little earlier than I have been, but we will be both be reacting. I guess I shouldn't promise that. We're doing that, right, to Kamala Harris on Thursday? Are we doing that?
Yes, we are.
Oh, boy. All right, much to come in this week still. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any of our content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you can find podcasts. See you later.
Bye, y'all.